Hi everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Sharang Dhaimade. Unfortunately, I am not on camera. I have some camera issues that are going on. My apologies, but I represent Seed Global Education. I think Dr. Rishabh Liani, if you'd want to turn off your video for starters, I think that would be, easier, to start with. I represent Seed Global Education, and over the course of the next couple of minutes, in fact an hour or so, we are going to be hearing from NYU Tandon, New York University Tandon School of Engineering, and we have a wonderful masterclass planned, that is in the art and science of data visualization, and is going to be bridging analytics and aesthetics, as we'd like to call it. So there's a lot of talk about data and how you can use that particular data, but to visualize that data is something that is of prime importance at this stage. And we've got two wonderful people that have also joined us, and I'm going to be doing the introductions. But before I do that, I'd like to learn from you guys in the chat. Please let us know in the chat box which city you are joining in from, which city or which city and country you are joining us from. Looking at the chat box right now, we are close to 97 of us in this room. Joseph is here from Accra. Azan is here from Kashmir. Libya. Gamal's here from Libya as well. Shraddha, India, Lucknow, Chennai. Okay, it's going too fast right now. But Mumbai, Hyderabad, Shimla, Odisha, Nagpur, Gujarat, Nigeria as well, Hyderabad, Srinagar. Taha is here from Kashmir as well. Incha is here from Saudi. Welcome, Saudi. Muhammad Ali Zain is from Lahore. Welcome. So this is we have a large audience from South Asia and also from West Africa, and I think it's going to be wonderful use of the next one. Jayesh is here from Bengaluru as well. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined this session. Before we go on to the session, we'd like to learn a little bit from you about some questions that we are running a couple of polls, so I would recommend very quickly. I'm launching the first poll that is on your screen, to understand a little bit about Python coding. How many of you here know something about Python coding? If I can answer, I am a complete beginner to Python, but do you know the basics? If you've done a few projects, or some of you might be quite confident with Python coding. Yes, there are 114 of us in this room. About 35 of us have responded to the poll. It's a very simple question. How comfortable are you with Python coding? This will just give a sense of the audience to our panelists here, and they'll be able to share some quick insights on this. Are you a beginner? Do you know the basics? Have you done a few projects, or are you a champion or quite confident with Python? Great. I'm going to be waiting for a couple more seconds. If you haven't responded to the poll, request you to do so from your phones, laptops, iPads. I don't know if you can use your Apple Watch to join this webinar. In a few years, I think that should be also a possibility. But yes, thank you so much. We have a large percentage of you that have responded to the poll. I'm going to be sharing the results for our audience, Dr. Chauhan. You can see that close to 65% of the people either know basics or done a few projects. So we're looking at 70 odd percent of the people that have some exposure to Python, whereas 30 odd percent are like me, complete beginners to Python. And Dr. Chauhan can talk a little bit about why and how this could be useful in data visualization as well. And while I now, speak less and let the people that you guys are here to listen to speak a little more, we are going to be talking today about the art and science of data visualization, as I was mentioning. I'm going to first introduce Dr. Rishabh Chauhan, who is an industry assistant professor at the Center of Urban Sciences and Progress, that is CUSP, at the NYU Tandon School of Engineering. He has worked on a variety of research projects funded by agencies such as the US Department of Transportation, the National Science Foundation, the Illinois Department of Transportation, the New York State Department of Transportation, and the New York State Energy Research Development Authority. He's been there, he's done that. He's also featured in top media outlets like the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. He has a postdoctoral research in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering from Princeton University. Dr. Chauhan, thank you so much for taking out time to come and talk to us a little bit about this. And the floor is all yours. And we'd love to learn about the art and science of data visualization.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharang. Uh, uh, it's 11 a.m. in New York, so I'd say good morning, but uh, knowing that you are all from different parts of world, so good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is for you. But wow, wonderful, wonderful to know that we have attendees from all over the world, all these fantastic cities you're from, and yeah, as you just heard, my name is Rishabh. Uh, I'm an industry assistant professor, and I'm very fascinated about cities, and that's what I do. I work in the Center for Urban Science and Progress, CUSP, which is part of London School of Engineering, and we talk a lot about cities. We do all our analysis based on cities, so it's interesting. My background is in transportation engineering, and that's what I did my PhD and my postdoc in. But then realizing that we live in a very interconnected world, and the cities around us are they are a complex mix of all these different infrastructure. Think about it. It's transportation, it's food, it's water, it's electricity, it's sanitation, it's waste, it's all of it combined. And that's what I look into, that's what I work into, in the complex connection between all the different infrastructure together in any city. And so I have a very analytical background, and I do a lot of machine learning, deep learning, Bayesian networks, AI, and also causality, which has been my prime focus in the previous years. But today here, I'll be talking about data visualization. And I saw the poll about your familiarity with Python, and it seems like we have uh, generally a good understanding of Python. But either way, either you use Python, you use Excel, you use Tableau, Power BI, doesn't matter what you use. There's one thing that you know that you always are doing is data visualization. Data visualization, if we think about the whole methodology of data analysis, data visualization comes to the very end. It's when you have all your results ready, all your numbers ready, and you're presenting it. And that's a crucial step. That's a crucial step. Uh, it's easy to be overlooked, but it's very important. And that's why today I'll be discussing that. And the name of the presentation is the art and science of data visualization. And that's what it is. It's partly art and it's partly science. And here at London School, I am teaching a class on data visualization this fall. And so during the class, it's a 15-week long course, so I have a lot of opportunity to dig into every single little detail that's important for data visualization. But here, for the purpose of this master class, I've got about like 20-30 minutes, so I'll try to condense everything, and I try to give you the main messages, something you can take home. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, so you must be able to see my screen, or it must be loading. But okay, so the art and science of data visualization. Data visualization, again, comes at the very end of our data science methodology, but it's super important. Data visualization is the easiest way to communicate your findings, is to communicate your results. And how your visualization should look like depends on the audience you're presenting it to, whether it's to the whether you're presenting your results to any government agency, or if it's in an academic environment in a university conference, or if it's to the members of public. And so depending on where you're presenting, your focuses would change, your audience's familiarity with different styles of visualizations will change. Also, for an audience like us, like when we have a very cross-cultural audience, we also have to incorporate all of those things in our data visualization. Okay, without further ado, uh, so you know me, you heard about me. Let me go ahead and get to the main part of the talk. So today I'll be talking about three quick things. One would be policy making. So at CUSP here at London School, overall, we do a lot of things about policy making. Why do we use Python? Why do we do data analysis? One of our chief goals in most for most of our projects is actually to get some results which can be helpful for framing policies. And these policies can be at the city level, it could be national level or international level. And so let's see how data visualization can help in policy making, and then we'll talk about the principles of effective data visualization. So some quick things you should definitely know when you're doing data visualization. And the last part is more like a hands-on Python library, but given the time, we won't be able to do the hands-on thing. But I'll give you enough information that you can play around with it and you can explore it by yourself. Okay, let's see. So let's start with the beginning. Part one, the beginning. So speaking about data visualization, I'd like to take you back in time. I'd like to take you back in 19th century London. Think about this time. It's 19th century London. Uh, it's a beautiful place, but it's not doing very well. It's infected by cholera. Cholera was a major health challenge in the 19th century London. And now cholera was this huge challenge. What do? The the intellectuals wanted to understand what was this. And think about this is 19th century, so people do not have really as much developed sense of science and biology as we have now. So they weren't sure what cholera was and how was it spreading. And so the general belief was that it's spreading through bad air, and this was called the miasma theory. So miasma theory believed that cholera spreads through bad air. And this miasma theory had been in place for a very long time, since like Middle Ages. So it's been for centuries. It was believed that cholera is spreading through bad air, which now we know is not true. But anyway, now there was somebody called Jon Snow, and this is not the one from Game of Thrones. We have Jon Snow, who was a London-based physician, who who didn't agree with this, who didn't approve the miasma theory, and he has a separate theory. He has a different theory. He believed that cholera didn't spread through bad air, rather it spread through bad water. So it's waterborne rather than airborne, and that's what he was finding. But then that wasn't a very easy thing to prove, right? It's been believed to be spreading through air through miasma theory for centuries, and suddenly we have some physician who's objecting to it. What did he do? Well, he used some data visualization, and he presented to us one of the finest example of data visualization and how data visualization can help in policy making. Let's see how. So Jon Snow was very, very much concerned about understanding and explaining how the disease was spreading. So he was looking at the Soho district in London, and he got this map. And in this map, he plotted the number of deaths in that area in the Soho district, and also the water pumps. So where people were getting their water from. And so people were getting their water from those pumps, and he had some idea it should be with something to do with pumps. So what did he do? He plotted a map. And the map that he plotted is in front of you. So this is the map. Looks pretty basic now, doesn't it? So this was the map that Jon Snow plotted with all the information. Let me break it down. It's a little bit more complex for our understanding. So what you see is the map. It's a map of the Soho district, London. And if you look closely, you will see some bars. And here are these bars. What these bars mean, the longer a bar is, that means more number of deaths there were. So you can see all these bars all over the place. So you see some black bars here, there, all the place. And they represent death. Now, once he plotted it on a map, it was easy to see that there is some sort of a cluster. Don't you see this? Uh, all these deaths were actually centered around this one point, like around this one area. There were no deaths, or maybe very few deaths outside of this, but mostly it's here. So that made him more suspicious that this is definitely not air, because air doesn't flow in segments, right? If it was air, it would have been more uniform. Now, with this, he was very convinced it is water. And so, what did he do? So, what Jon Snow did was he convinced the local city government there to actually remove the handle of some of the pumps in those areas. And since he managed to do that, once he removed those handles in the pumps so that the pumps cannot be used, the number of deaths actually reduced, and they reduced drastically. And that got him a lot of evidence that it's actually waterborne. It still took him a little bit more time to convince the authorities, convince the members of public, but the thing that started back then is now a well-known fact. Cholera spreads through water and not air. And this map here was the beginning of that. And that's the point that I'm driving. Data visualization may seem like a quick, dirty thing. You may have not paid as much attention to it before, but it's very crucial because this data visualization makes your results very easy to be communicated through a very diverse audience, which in turn can help frame policies, which can even save lives, like what Jon Snow's famous map did. All right. Okay. Uh, Now we know that. Now we know some like one very interesting, very motivating case study. Let's talk about the evolution. So data visualization has a long, long, long history. It's been there almost forever. When we think about data visualization, especially we as more technical audience, more technical people, we think about certain softwares, we think about the libraries in Python and those kind of things. But data visualization essentially has lived much before all of these even existed. So it's been there for centuries. It has only evolved with new methods. It has evolved with technology, with innovation, and with more art. So let's take a look. I'll show you a few handful examples just to show that how creative data visualization has been for all this time. So here in front of you, you can see this map. It's map of Turin, and it was drawn by ancient Egyptians. And this is like 1150 BC. So how much is it? Like 3000 years back? Yeah. But look at this maps. We are very familiar with them. We have been using maps, but think about it. It's such an effective way of presenting your data. All right, let's move ahead in time. Now I have something from ancient China, and this here is the chart of stars. Now, unfortunately, I cannot read it for you, but you can see there are these yellow dots, maybe some black dots, and they are all related. They are all connected through some lines and what I believe are some constellations. This was 700 AD, and this idea of putting it in a map, in a simple, sorry, not in a map, on a simple piece of paper was actually very groundbreaking. And things like this. I'm sure you must have been familiar with a bar plot or a line chart. And look at this. It's been around for a long time. These are some of the earliest recorded line charts and bar graphs. On your left, it's the line chart for the celestial motion of different planets. As far as I can read, this is Venus, Mercury, Saturn. Look at this. On a nice 2D plane, you see how these planets are traveling. And on the other side, you see some like earliest bar graphs. Cool, right? Okay, more to it. Let's go ahead in time and let's look at this graph on your left, which is representing cities. And now it's not just representing cities on a map, it's actually representing city on almost like a number line. So on one end you see Toledo, and then further on you see all the different cities. And they are on a very scaled scale where you can see how far these cities are from each other. So you know how much further or how much backward you have to go. And then this very fascinating map. It's from Dublin. It's from 1837, and this is the traffic flow map. I wonder what exactly traffic was back then. Maybe some horse carts. But anyway, whatever it was, look at this. You see all these streets and the darker black color, meaning more volume. And as this color fades out, it's it's less traffic. So traffic volume, very in a very clean, in a very easy to understand way on the map of Dublin. Pretty fascinating. All right. Not only that, trade. So, okay, this is another level of innovation. Uh, Creativity. You are like somebody showing all these different trades, imports and exports, and that through the different cars of trains. And you can see here that the size of cars actually represent the volume of trade. Okay, and so data visualization. So you saw data visualization has been there forever. It's been super important for policy making. And now if you start observing, data visualization is all around us. So you must have seen maps like this during election results, or maybe if you look at the weather, you see some results there, Wall Street, news, any statistic, city maps, or your Apple Watch or fitness watch, whichever one you're using. So data visualization is pretty much everywhere. And why is it everywhere? Because data visualization has this ability of presenting results in a very simple and intuitive way. There is one very interesting modern visualization that I would really like to show over here. Let's see if I can. I may have to share my screen again. Uh, okay, so I just started sharing my screen. Okay, I believe you can see it now. All right, so this is the map of New York City. Let me zoom it out and maybe then I can. Uh, okay, so that's the map of New York City, and it's from New York City Parks. And this is the tree map. And in this tree map, we have millions of trees mapped for New York City. You see all these different 5 boroughs, and you can see how many trees are there. So you can do like a borough level analysis. Let's zoom in a little bit. So we are in Brooklyn. We are in downtown Brooklyn. So maybe if I zoom in a little bit here, what we see are number of trees in every neighborhood. Again, notice you have different colors. So some like darker colors, lighter colors. Darker colors means more trees. Lighter colors means fewer trees. Let's keep zooming in. Uh, so we are almost here. So around Dumbo. And if I keep zooming in, look at this. This is such a fantastic, such a detailed map. And it's a street level map. And on any street, you can simply click on any of trees. So let's say I am interested in this single tree right over here. And if I click this, I get all this information. I know what's the name of this tree. I know its address, trunk thickness, date it was planted, and a lot more. Much more. So you can just simply click on a tree and get all sorts of information here, even pictures of it for different times, inspections, which is fantastic, which is fantastic. So here this map has information about trees at the individual level. And just think about this. What if they would have presented all of this in form of a Excel table? That would have been like too overwhelming, right? So that's what data visualization is. It makes it super easy, makes understanding data, understanding results very easy. Uh, Let me share my screen again and just quickly sum up everything that we have been talking about. So yes, we saw this a really noteworthy example. I'm always fascinated by seeing this tree map from New York City. Feel free to explore this after the class. You can find it on New York City Government Parks website, and you can know about every single tree, pretty much every single tree in the city. Also, very recently, there is another example uh, about the subway map. So New York City has finally revised, updated its subway map. A map before, which was since like 1970s, it had been for like so many decades, and now just this year they have introduced a new map. Well, I mean, you can decide for yourself which map is better. I think 2025 map is actually better. It makes things very intuitive. The background, the city colors, those base map colors, they are muted, so they don't interfere. Versus the colors of these lines of trains, they are more brighter, so you can see things more clearly. Also the size of those train lines, those those lines, they are thicker, and so that makes it easier to see. So all right, so all these fantastic examples. Now if you're using Python, you can use something called Matplot, you can use something called Seaborn or Plotly. They're all fantastic libraries. They like Plotly is for interactive plots, Matplot, Seaborn are for static plots, and that's something we explore all through my course, different libraries and all the amazing plots that we can make. Now, when you're plotting your plots, just quick 4 or 5 things. Think about the big picture. Don't think about the plot first. Think about the message that you want to be sharing. Then think about the right software. It could be anything. It could be a simpler software. It could be something more complex. Think what will help you achieve your goal. And then think about the geometry, shapes, shadows, what exact shapes you're looking for. Uh, are they point? Are they line? Are they bar plots? Think of all of that. And then the colors. Never use colors randomly. All colors mean something, and colors have a very profound impact. That's another thing we talk about. We talk a lot about the color theory and how colors shape our perception. So your visualizations are very much affected by the colors you use. So be mindful what you're using. And then try to make your visualization simple, something which is easy to understand. That's the main goal of visuals, but make sure you never miss out on the captions, which are super important. So now if you want to plot the iconic map of Jon Snow, you can find that data on this website, www.randomservices.org. You can find the data there, and you can play around with it. Maybe use some Python, but you have all the data there. It's all put in the right coordinates, so you can make the code, make the plots for yourself. Okay, so well, data visualization is super important for policy making. It has a long history over which it has evolved a lot. There are a, there's a big list of Python libraries, and it's constantly growing, which is making visualization easier. But at the end, it's you who are making those visualizations. So be aware of it. Make sure you follow some basic guidelines, which would make your data visualizations very effective. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you all here online. And I think we are taking questions at the end, but yeah, look forward to any questions you have. All right. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Chauhan. That was very insightful. Got to know a little bit about Jon Snow and where the name originated from, amongst a lot of other interesting ideas about data visualization. And now it makes sense that your masterclass was very similar to some of your research and some of your projects that you have done in your career. Thank you so much. That was really, really insightful. I think I can see a lot of questions already there. We are 226 participants. There are 10 active
Wow.
questions, and I'm now going to push some of the candidates that have still have questions to not use the chat window, but actually to use the Q&A tab. Before we move on to the next section or the next segment, I'm going to run a quick poll question once again. And this poll question's now going to be on your screen right now. And we're now talking about studying abroad. We learned from a senior faculty member about art and science of data visualization, and from NYU Tandon. NYU Tandon has a lot of wonderful university programs for graduate programs, if I may say so. But which part of studying abroad do you find the most challenging? What's the most difficult part for studying abroad? And Liani, who's going to be our next panelist, is making notes of this. Is it understanding the application process? Is it meeting academic or test requirements? Is it funding or scholarships? Or is it choosing the right university or program? I can see that, as some of these might get a little difficult. We have 25% of you who have responded to this poll question. We're going to keep this live for the next few seconds. Tell us, look at the poll question on your screen. If you can't see it, find that button on your Zoom meeting which says polls, as mentioned, on your phones, iPads, laptops, desktops. What is the most challenging or the most challenging process of planning your study abroad journey? Is it the application process, academic testing requirements, funding or scholarships, or choosing the right university? Wonderful. I've waited for the best part of a minute and a half, and I'm going to end the poll now. I'm going to share the results. Liani, I think 40 odd percent of candidates have funding or scholarships as one of the challenging criterias. I think studying abroad is not the is not cheap by by any means. It is an investment, and how to find that funding for this investment is something that candidates worry about. And the next up is choosing the right program or university. And for the 28% of you that thought that choosing the right program or university could be a challenge, over the next 10 minutes, our colleague Liani is going to talk to us a little bit about NYU Tandon and what programs do they have, understanding the application process, what are some of the admission requirements, obviously how can you find funding and scholarship opportunities, and so much more. Just a quick reminder for everyone that is still listening to us, 210 of us. I would recommend that you stay back and you can ask questions in the Q&A tab. We'll spend the last 15 minutes of this session answering some of the most relevant questions. Liani, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sharang, and thank you, Dr. Shah, for that very insightful presentation. I learned so much about data visualization. I might need to take your class back in NYU Tandon. All right, hello everybody. Welcome. My name is Liani Ramos. I'm the Associate Director of Communications for the Graduate Enrollment Management and Admissions Office, which is just a fancy name for the Graduate Admissions Office at NYU Tandon. I'm going to share my screen. So I have a couple quick slides to go over to kind of talk a little bit about NYU Tandon, the programs that we offer, application requirements, all of that good stuff. Oops, went a little too quick. All right, so a little bit about me. I run the communications in the graduate admissions office. So if you have applied to us before, if you've attended any of our virtual events or in-person events, if you've emailed us, it's going to be either me or my team who is sending these emails out or responding to your emails. So I manage all of that. And I also do some recruitment and marketing as well. Typically in the US, but I've also traveled to India, other places in Southeast Asia, all that. So it's always really exciting and fun to meet students as well. All right, so let's go ahead with my presentation. I know we don't have a ton of time. So let's move on and talk to you about NYU Tandon. So we are actually located in Brooklyn, which is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City. NYU Tandon is the School of Engineering for NYU. There are over 20 colleges within the New York University umbrella, and we are the engineering school. We're constantly jumping up in the rankings. We've gone up 30 spots in the last 10 years, and we are continuing to see that forward movement, which is great. We have a new executive vice dean who has just started, and he has some really amazing ideas and plans and goals for NYU Tandon within the next 10 years, which is going to be really exciting to see how much we get done. We have a 33-degree granting program, so that would be master's and PhD. We also have one new master's program, which is the Quantum Science and Technologies Master, which just got approved within the last couple of weeks. So that's really exciting too. So if you're interested in quantum technology or quantum physics, that might be an interesting program for you to take a look at. We have more detailed information on our website with that as well. And I'm happy to share that info with the C team so that you all can learn more about it as well. One really good benefit, I think really amazing benefit that we have at NYU Tandon is cross-disciplinary learning. So what's really cool about that is, although you need to apply to one program, right, because you're applying for a graduate school, a graduate program, a master's, we still allow you to have a little bit of flexibility to collaborate with other departments, essentially. So let's say you are in the computer science master's program, but you're a little bit interested in maybe something that is electrical engineering associated. So you can actually take some of your electives in the electrical engineering department, or we also offer cross-school classes as well, or courses as well. As I mentioned, we have over 20 colleges and schools within NYU, and as long as you have advisor approval and it makes sense for your program, you are able to take those electives elsewhere. So it really does open up your opportunities for a master's degree that is more tailored to what it is that makes the most sense for you, right? For when you graduate and what type of career or job you're looking for at the end of your program. So a little bit more about the school. We're about 8,000 total students. So that's both undergrad and graduate. On the graduate side, which is master's and PhD students, we have about 5,000. And the reason we talk about this is because a lot of schools have way more undergraduate students than they have graduate students. And we highlight this for Tandon because we have about the same amount. And honestly, we offer so many amazing resources for our graduate students that, maybe other schools aren't able to do. So we do invest a lot into our master's and PhD students, as well as our undergraduate students. You may be wondering, what is our GPA to apply? So our minimum GPA to apply is a 3.0, but I will be very honest with you. Typically, those who have a 3.5 GPA or higher are the ones that tend to get admitted. So just a quick tip there. And I know many of you may not have your GPA or your CGPA on a 4.0 scale, and that's totally fine. You still just submit your transcripts to us. We work with a credential evaluation company, and we will evaluate your GPA from, a 10-point scale or a percentage, whatever it may be, to the 4.0 scale. So that's kind of like a quick overview. The rest is going to go a little bit faster, but I do want to touch on the career services, which is very, very important. I did see already a question in the chat about career services. We have two separate centers or offices. The first one is Wasserman Center for Career Development. That's the NYU-wide one. So that serves over the 20 plus colleges that we have. So they have a ton of resources, a lot of general information. And then we have the Tandon Career Hub, which is specific only to Tandon students. So they focus on engineering and STEM internships and jobs. They also do some really amazing boot camps, data science and leak code. They have a mentoring platform. They help you with salary negotiation, all of that good stuff. So that is a really great resource for students who are looking for internships and jobs once they're graduating. Because it is a little bit different in the US than in other places, in other countries where you get placed in certain jobs. That doesn't quite happen here in the US. It really is up to the student to utilize the resources to get those jobs. So I did mention our master's and PhD programs. We have a ton of different ones. And I also mentioned our new quantum science and technology master's. So that's also an option. Let's go to my next slide. So let's quickly take a look at the application requirements. So first and foremost, we wanted to share a application fee waiver code. As you can see here on the screen, it's all capital letters, TANDONBKLYN, and that will waive the $90 USD fee for the application if you have not submitted it yet. So the important things that you need to submit. Obviously, your transcripts will also accept your mark sheets. We prefer consolidated, but we'll accept individual as well. When you submit your application, you can upload your unofficial transcripts for application review. If you're admitted, though, we will require your official transcripts sent directly from your institution's registrar's office, and that's pretty typical for any school in the US. We also need verification and proof that you've received your bachelor degree. And when you are first applying, if you're still in your undergraduate program, that's totally fine. You won't have that yet. But once you graduate from your program, and you do have to graduate and earn your degree prior to starting a graduate program at NYU Tandon and most any other school as well, you will submit either your provisional certificate if you've graduated within a year or your degree certificate. We also require an essay, and we have 2 prompts that you need to complete. 1 to 2 pages is fine. Your resume with your academic or professional experience. We also require 2 recommendation forms, which is a little different from other schools. You will put the names of your recommenders in the application, and then they will receive an email to fill out a recommendation form. The actual letter of recommendation is optional, so they can upload that if they would like to. Just remind your recommenders that if they are doing a letter of recommendation, it needs to be on professional letterhead, and come from an official email address. And then lastly, if you are an international student or studied outside of the US, we do require an English language test score. We accept all of the normal ones, TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, etc. If you earned a degree in the US or Canada, it is waived. And there are a couple other countries as well. Nigeria and Ghana are also waived. If you have any questions about that, we're also very happy to let you know which ones are waived. If not, you can apply for a waiver. Let's touch a little bit on scholarships. We do review every admitted student for a merit-based partial scholarship, whether they are an international student or coming from the US. No additional application is required. It is automatic process, and it is dependent on the GPA from your undergraduate transcripts, the CGPA specifically. And the amounts range between 3,000 and 12,000 USD per year. Since almost all of our programs are 2 years, as long as you maintain your GPA, you can then have it renewed for the next year. And then also we participate in the SEED scholarship, which is a 20,000 USD scholarship that is awarded to 5 different awardees. One of the main things that you have to do is participate in a SEED event, whether in person or virtual. So you've already met one of the requirements by attending this event. And then you will submit a scholarship application to the SEED team, as well as your application to NYU Tandon and all of your subsequent application materials to be considered for that. And then lastly, of course, deadlines. So our application for 2026, both spring and fall, is now open. And the deadlines are November 1 for spring 2026, although please be aware that there are some programs that do not admit for spring. You can check that on our website under application deadlines. It'll show which ones don't. PhD, I'll tell you right now, PhDs don't accept for spring, only for fall. And then our fall deadlines are PhDs December 1. Our priority deadline for masters is December 1. Priority essentially means you are applying earlier and you will most likely get an earlier decision. So if you are ready to apply by that December 1 deadline, I say feel free to do that, especially if you're applying to a lot of different schools. That way you're kind of getting that out there and trying to get your decisions in quicker rather than later. But we do have our regular consideration deadline of February 15th, which there really isn't a big difference between the two at all. Again, it really is just submitting it earlier and hopefully getting an earlier decision, depending on how many applications we receive. Okay, that's everything. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to answering any of your questions that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Liani. That was a little bit about NYU Tandon and their School of Engineering. And now we're going to open it up for Q&A. And Dr. Chauhan was kind enough to also sorry. Yes, Dr. Chauhan was kind. I'm just going to quickly add him to spotlight. Yes, there we go. Dr. Chauhan has been nice enough to answer so many questions through the chat. I think he's already answered a large part of 7. For the 180 of you still in this room, over the next 10 minutes, we'll talk a little bit about answering some of the burning questions. And I know there were some questions here. I think they have in some form been answered or asked in different words, and I'm going to come to first talk about the elephant in the room, Liani. And we're going to talk a little bit about the H-1B visa and what it entails for students who are looking to pursue their graduate programs in the USA. And I'm not talking primarily only about NYU or the School of Engineering. We're talking about the general talk about studying in the US at this stage. What is your stance about how can students think about this particular opportunity?
Of course. Thank you, Shrang. That's a great question. So first, let's talk a little bit about what H-1B is. So the H-1B visa is particularly for working in the US and being sponsored by a company. For those of you who are interested in coming to NYU or to any US institution for graduate study, it's not really something that you have to worry about in the moment. So as mentioned before, our programs are 2 years. So you've got 2 years of courses, research, etc. Now, if you're deciding that maybe you would want to stay in the US and work, we also have something called the OPT, which is optional practical training. And then on top of that, we have the STEM OPT, which is an extension to the regular OPT, which is typically 12 months. You have an extension of up to 3 years. And what this does is it allows you to work in the US still on your student visa as an international student without having to get a H-1B or any other type of work visa. So as we're looking at it that way, let's see. So you have 2 years of your master's program, and then you have 3 years of OPT. So that's 5 years from now. It's 2025 now, but let's say you're going to apply for 2026. So at that point, you're going to be looking for, if you decide to stay in the US and work further past the 5 years, you're looking at 2031 at the time of when you would need additional work visa. So things are changing pretty quickly, and I mean, I'll be transparent and honest. Who knows if that will still be the same policy that we have in 5 years? So I guess my best advice is I would say put that to the back of your mind as of right now. I would focus on what school you want to go to for your graduate studies. And if it's in the US, and if it's NYU, that's amazing. Look into the programs, look into the courses, look to see what it is that's going to make the most sense for you and your career moving forward. And you can always handle what's going on in the immigration basis in 5 years, and then kind of figure out what you want to do and be flexible from there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Liani. I think that is very important and insightful for the next 6 years, at least for now. The H-1B is not going to be your problem. 2026, you start, you do a 2 years program, you graduate in 28, you opt for the OPT, opt for the OPT. And then you have 1 year of OPT, and then the STEM extension, that's 3 years. So very as Liani correctly pointed out, H-1B is a problem in 2031. If you know what life is going to be in 2020, 2031, you should have an alternate career, but we all don't know what's going to happen in 2031. So I think H-1B could be reinstated, or the turn of events could be much more different at that stage. Dr. Chauhan, I think Liani did talk about career support. Liani did talk about what happens to graduates towards the end of their program and stuff. And I know that this question is not related to the topic, but more related towards the fact that you would have seen so many students graduate from NYU Tandon's programs. Could you throw some light on what have some of these international students found as challenges while they look for opportunities after they graduate? And with your experience, how does NYU help these students overcome some of these challenges?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not just for students here at Tandon, but in general, graduate students, international or even domestic, have some like big challenges. One is, making sure your skill set match the market demand. That's the big one. It's also making the right connections, getting in touch with people. Also, sometimes you're not even exposed to all the options you have. At at Tandon, we try to help you solve a lot of those problems. So one thing, our location is fantastic. We are in New York City, so we are really surrounded by a lot of companies, startups, even universities. So depending on your interest, you could be easily matched. You could easily be put in contact with your interest. We also have opportunities like capstone projects. So I can talk about CUSP for particularly, like we have capstone projects which run for an year, and here you are matched with industry partners or government partners. So for example, currently I'm working with the New York City Department of Transportation. So me, NYC DOT, and two students. Also, I'm working with BITS Pilani, which is a very highly reputed institute in India. And so we are together, and we have two students. Again, we'll be working together for 1 year. So it's not just the exposure to the resources here, but we also try to connect you to resources elsewhere. We also have like you know international tours. Currently, some of our students are visiting NYU Tulsa, so which is pretty different from things in New York City. So we do a lot of those things to give you better exposure, help you grow through our network. So I guess that should help.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chauhan. I think that does make a lot of sense, and that gives some reassurance for international candidates that after they take that trip and make that investment, it has they're not alone in this, and they do have a lot of support in this platform and in this like university as well. Liani, there are some questions, and I know you covered funding and scholarships. Uh, but would love for you to throw some more light on what are some of the funding and scholarship opportunities. I know you spoke about the seed scholarship, a lot of scholarship opportunities by NYU, but could you throw some light a little bit about RAs and TAs and how that could become a source of income for students as well, and just listing down different ways that students can support to fund their higher education journey.
Yeah, definitely. So, as mentioned, I talked about the scholarship that graduate admissions offers, the seed scholarship. There's also plenty of other scholarships that, even though they're not mentioned, could be offered through NYU financial aid services as well. There's tons and tons of them, even for international students. Sometimes just very specific things too. So it might be like just students who came from this institution or from this region or this area. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at that kind of stuff. Not only an NYU page, but government organizations, consulate offices, that sort of thing. Embassies as well. Yeah, so for TA, RA, GA, all of the A's, so for teaching assistantships and research assistantships, that is really mostly for our doctoral students, but I have heard that a lot of master's students also have been able to get involved in that. That is more department specific, so it's going to depend if they have the budget and the space. So I always encourage students, once you're admitted, to, reach out to the contact person in the department and see what type of openings they have available. Now I'll talk a little bit about the graduate assistantship. So this one is more widely available, and a lot of our students take advantage of this. And essentially what that is just a part-time on-campus job. And everyone could take advantage of it, international students included. I'll even say in our office, the graduate admissions office, we have almost 30 graduate assistants at any given time. They help us with processing the application, doing data entry. The communications team is made up of graduate assistants. That's my team. And they answer phones. They help me answer emails. They do special projects for us. They help with events, all sorts of stuff like that. So that's a really great way to supplement your tuition fees, as well as your what would you like, cost of living fees as well, because we know New York isn't the most inexpensive place in the US. It is a little bit on the higher cost of living side, but you do really benefit so much from being there, and you get to really partake in the innovative technologies that are going on, the culture itself. It really is, I think the how can I say, the ROI on it, I think, is worth it, honestly. But anyway, so that's a way that a lot of our students will supplement their tuition.
Thank you so much for that, Liani. I think that does give a lot of insights on funding and overall financial aid and multiple opportunities. I know we're running out of time, but I just have two more questions and, based on what is in the chat. And I think, Dr. Rishabh, even though you mentioned a little bit of this in your previous answer, could you throw some light on we spoke about careers, which means job search, but there are some, candidates here that could be interested in entrepreneurship. What does and how does, you know, NYU help in that regard? And then further, how does NYU support with any kind of mentorships and industry projects? Well, you did answer the mentorships industry projects, so let's just focus on the entrepreneurial path, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. And if you're interested in entrepreneurship, think about it. We are in New York, so what could be a better place than this? So absolutely, there is. It's it's something that's everywhere in New York City, and I'll tell you. Like currently, I'm working with uh, with a venture capital called what's it, New Lab, which are here in Brooklyn, where Tandon School is located. Most of our departments are here. So, and they are working with so many different startups. And one thing that I did recently was took some of my students there. And so, there are all these kind of collaborations that keep taking place between the faculty uh, and the industry and the startups, and some of them can really help you build your own startups. We also have speakers. If you're in capstones, that also helps. Uh, we also have a very well-established networks with our partners in industry, which can offer internships. So if that's your career path, there are plenty of resources there, which would really help you develop and sharpen your entrepreneurship skills.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. My last question, Liani, and this is a question I've been asking in so many panels as well. I think there's a question about a candidate who's interested to apply in 2027, so a little, a year and more from now. Um, is there a secret sauce of what candidates can do so that they get accepted into your, programs? I know NYU is a competitive school, um, uh, but just overall tips about strengthening your profile if you're applying a year from now or maybe 2 years from now. How can there be the best chance of getting an admission into your programs?
Yeah, definitely. And computer science is such a large program for us. I think it's our biggest program. We get the most applications for that program every single year. So it's incredibly competitive. So I get you're trying to see what is going to give you the edge and what is going to make you stand out over thousands and thousands of applicants that are applying. So I totally understand that. I think let's see. So I guess what we've heard from the computer science department, again, it's competitive. They're looking for top students. GPA is important, but I think if I had to say, especially someone who's applying a year out, I would think maybe having some hand in research in your undergraduate career. It's not required to have research to apply to computer science, but I think it kind of gives you a little bit of an edge, especially in areas that are more cutting edge or like that are kind of hot topics now, like AI, machine learning, data science, that type of thing. If you can demonstrate some experience in that, whether it's like a summer undergraduate program that you've done um, at your school or another school in the US or wherever. I think that's helpful, gives a boost. If you know of a professor that needs help or assistance or like you're able to assist on their project, that's also helpful as well. So I think, yeah, I think that would be my main. There's no secret sauce, unfortunately, Strong, but I think getting a little bit more of hands-on research experience will look really good on your application, and will give it a little bit more of a boost, because I know you're all top students already.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Liani, for that. With that, for the 150 of you still in this room, I'd like to thank you for taking out time and spending the best part of 1 hour with us. Thank you so much, Liani. Thank you so much, Dr. Chauhan, for taking out time. We've gone 6 minutes over what we had scheduled, but we've done well and efficient in answering as many questions as we could. Um, Thank you so much, and you have a nice rest of the day to you, Liani and Dr. Chauhan, and have a nice rest of the evening, night for 150 of you that are still watching. My name is Sharang, Seed Global Education, and thank you so much for your time. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.